Mahesh Murthy, I mean, we've seen videos in the past where astronauts who've spent a long time in space, they come back on Earth and they struggle to stand upright for a time. I mean, what are the sort of changes that the body undergoes when a person stays in space? Because the problem is, yes, there have been people who stayed longer than Sunita Williams and Wilmore in the past as well, but the difference is that they were mentally prepared to stay for that long. Here, the problem is these people went for a short mission, and it's been almost a year now that they're stuck there. So, mentally as well, what sort of an effect do you think it has? The fact that someone's been so isolated for so long up there with an uncertain future, they don't even know, even now, when they're going to come back.
So I think, I mean, the first thing to say is much like, at the foundation level, we must understand that if we ever have to become multiplanetary as a species or even, live on a different body, it's going to take time. For any human to even get to Mars, it's going to take 2 years, right? So in flight. So imagine you go up there now in 2027, you reach there, and it's going to take you another 2 years to come back. So these are very long times, right? So every single thing that we do is a matter of getting people to stay longer and longer and to understand how the human body will cope. Now, there's various studies saying let's put people to sleep in space and wake them up post hibernation, etc. Because any kind of advanced space flight that we have to do eventually. To become multiplanetary will involve, not just 8 months, but we'll probably need years of travel each way. That's the first thing. The second thing is astronauts are trained for this, much like Air Force officers. Even if they take a routine training flight, they've gone there knowing what do I do in case of an emergency? What do I do if I'm shot down? What do I do if I'm captured by the enemy? It's all part of the training. I am pretty sure that even Sunita and Butch, who went up there, were trained for this eventuality, saying, okay, you won't come back right now, all right? Sure, there were expectations that were not met. They were expected to be back with their spouses and families in 8 days. But it's, as Jijin said, it's almost 9 months right now. And, instead of going for 8 days, they've gone for 270 plus days. And there is going to be mental pressure, and but they are able. I mean, from if you read their tweets and you read what they're talking about, they seem to be happy in space. Not just that, they seem to be very fulfilled with over 900 hours of science experiments they've done. Because at that point when you're there, it's not just your job. You're isolated, but then the pressure comes on ground control to be able to say, okay, look, we've got to keep these guys motivated. While there are people out there in space, believe me, the ground control is working double hard and triple hard to make sure that their morale is up, they're given something interesting to do, their families are communicating with them, and all this is done. So the psychological part of it is really important, not just now, but going forward. Even more important as we take on longer space flights in the days and years to come.
Absolutely. Mahesh, I'm not sure if this is the right term to use, but they've always now become guinea pigs for scientists here back on Earth to understand what really happens when someone stays for so long. I mean, usually when we have missions that last, usually it's around 6 months when they return. But the problem here is that they've stayed here for a long time. And in a way, it's going to be advantageous for those trying to study the long-term effect of someone being in space.
You're right. Everybody who goes up right now, every experiment means the satellites are guinea pigs, the technology is guinea pig. In this case, the humans are also guinea pigs, right? The first guinea pig was a dog. We know the dogs were sent out and poor Laika was never designed to come back down. But that's part of what it takes. Everybody who signs up for the program knows exactly what they're doing. You might see mishaps. But it's always 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So you pull back. If you focus on the step back, we'll say it's mishaps. But you pull back, it's 1 step forward net. That's how science has always progressed, and that's how space technology and space science has always progressed. It does go forward. I'm glad it started again after a long hiatus at NASA, and net is always 1 step forward. So onward and upward.
Absolutely. Interestingly, Jijit, before we wrap, it's interesting, isn't it? The fact that we talk about humans becoming multiplanetary species, someone like Elon Musk talking about how it's a very near reality. But the problem here is that we are not able to bring back people who are stuck at the International Space Station, which isn't very long, far away. So again, the technology really has to mature a lot more.
Yeah, yes. So when you say the multiplanetary, so the kind of timeline science is very close, because Elon is talking about a mission to an unmanned mission to Mars in 2026. That is next year, and before 2030, he want to start the mission for manned mission to Mars.
But so Jijit, with all due respect, sorry to interrupt you. With all due respect, Elon Musk is known for his highly optimistic and unrealistic deadlines and timelines, and the truth of the matter is, rarely does he meet any of his own timelines. So I think 2026, we can take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah, I agree. But anyway, if the dates are not this, but at least it is kind of something that has to happen in a decade, and we have this kind of situations where we can't bring astronaut standard in the space to back. But there are certain other developments happening where there is highly accelerated engines which have been recently been tested. I mean, going beyond theoretical, it is been practically tested in some Russian space agencies, which says cut shorting the time to Mars by instead of 1 or 2 years to 3 months to 1 month. So I don't know how much is hype here and how much is the reality. But if there is such kind of things, then and if it comes very fast and it is all like driven by artificial intelligence based discoveries, then we may get a breakthrough in this decade from 2025 to 2035, where the
But the
timelines
problem,
are cut
Jijit,
short.
is that how is this going to affect the human body? I mean, Mahesh, before we wrap up, I've got a couple of minutes on the broadcast now. Jijit here is talking about a technology they seem to be working on that will cut short the travel to Mars from 2 years to 3 or even 1 month. I mean, I'm sure it's going to have some of the other sort of an effect on the human body. It's definitely not something normal. So, again, is there enough study about all that?
Not yet,
Yeah.
but much like at one point you could not imagine whether human beings would survive in an aircraft going faster than the speed of sound. Then Chuck Yeager crossed the speed of sound, and they did a bunch of tests, and then they figured it's okay, you survive. And then we had commercial jetliners like the Concorde going faster than sound. Again, we had a stopover for about 20, 30 years, and now we have the Boom X1, which is again a commercial jetliner that has started to go faster than the speed of sound. I'm sure that this technology will also be adequately tested. It will not be allowed to go up there without testing, and we will figure out a way. We always figure out a way. Once upon a time, it was unimaginable to go faster than you run, and today it's no problem. I mean, the satellites that are docking up there that you saw in space are traveling at 28,800 kilometers per hour. 28,800 kilometers per hour, and they're able to meet, dock, talk, everything separate, and so on and so forth, right? Now imagine that. Now imagine doing it at multiple times the speed. So it is possible. We just need a huge amount of developments to be able to make it happen. We need computation that happens faster than it happens now, and AI will be one of the technologies that help that. I don't doubt it'll happen. This is, I think, one of the most optimistic periods for human beings to be part of the space exploration program. I don't doubt it'll happen. There will be mishaps, there'll be ups and downs, but 2 steps forward, 1 step back, net 1 step forward will happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, to add a
Mahesh,
few
the fact
points,
of the matter is that there are a lot of
yeah.
studies and experiments that are
Till
underway.
now, we
Yeah,
have
Jijit, 30 seconds left.
optimized the missions for fuel economy, but there is a kind of trend moving towards speed. So whatever speed that has been spoken is within the capability of human acceleration limits. But the kind of shift is like from
Okay.
fuel efficiency to maximization of the speed, so that the health are not affected drastically, like what is happening now with Sunita Williams.
Absolutely. Jijit, the matter of fact here is that there are a lot of things out there that we still do not know exist, the kind of effects that it has. I mean, to be honest, we have not gone more than a few hundred kilometers out in space. I mean, the human body. So we clearly don't know what exists out there. But again, it's a fascinating subject, and hopefully something like this happens during our lifetimes, and we'll be able to understand how it all works. Jijit Nadumuri Ravi and Mahesh Moti, really appreciate you joining us on the broadcast here. Two really fascinating subjects and topics, and appreciate you getting your insight and expertise on this.